Hey there, and welcome to the Event Crushed podcast. Each week, we'll be chatting about all things wedding industry, entrepreneurship, and how to crush it in life and business. I'm so glad you're here. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, welcome back to the show. This is your host, Becky. And you are listening to episode 20 of the Event Crushed podcast, which is so crazy. I honestly cannot believe that we're already on episode 20. So thank you for being here and for tuning in each week. It means so much to me. And I'm just super stoked that we made it to 20 because that feels like a pretty big milestone, honestly. So today I wanted to ask you a question and just kind of get a conversation going about something that I have been thinking about a lot for a while now that kind of just comes up in the industry a lot. And so the question that I have for you is, should the end goal for every wedding professional be to work in the luxury wedding market? Should that be the single objective that we are all striving for? And I just want you to think about that for a second, because I think that in our industry, the way that luxury is talked about and how often it is talked about, it seems to me that it kind of has become this final destination for wedding professionals of all kinds, photographers, planners, florists, what have you, to make it to the luxury market. And once you get there, then you've made it. And it's kind of become a way that people are defining success. And I am just really curious to hear your thoughts on all of this, because I personally do not think that every wedding pro should be making it their main goal and their main priority for their business to be serving luxury clients. And I don't know if that puts me in the minority here, but I am just going to share my thoughts with you today. And I just love to have a short discussion with you and just share about why I don't think everyone should necessarily be considering this, making it to the luxury market, the epitome of success in the wedding industry, like I think it kind of has become in a way. So to begin, I want to quickly just define with you the definition of luxury in the wedding industry. So it really is any wedding with a budget of $100,000 up to $500,000. And then once you get into the $500,000 million range, then that is considered ultra luxury. I also wanted to mention too, it's not always about the total budget spend. It can also be defined by the spend per guest. So for example, a smaller guest count wedding that costs $75,000 but only has 45 guests, that's $1,700 per person. So I would personally still consider that a luxury wedding, but that's just another way to look at it. I do a lot of smaller weddings, and so I think it's just something to be aware of. So I was doing a little bit of research before this episode, and in a news article from May of 2024, the Wall Street Journal reported that about 4% of weddings surveyed were expected to cost more than $100,000. Now, I don't know how many people they surveyed for this article, but if this statistic is correct, that means 96% of weddings that are happening throughout the country and the world are not luxury weddings. So to put it super plainly, not everyone is going to serve luxury clients. In fact, the vast majority of weddings happening are not in the luxury category. So I would like to share an alternate perspective based on my personal experience. And I really believe that there is a sweet spot. So what do I mean by that? Well, if we're using the definition that I gave before about $100,000 being the marker of a luxury wedding, then I don't serve luxury clients because most of my clients have wedding budgets ranging from around $40,000 up to about $85,000. And I will also say that here in the Pacific Northwest, you can get a lot more bang for your buck. Dollars stretch farther than they do in other parts of the country. For example, New York, Southern California. I feel like a $40,000 wedding in New York is not going to get you very much at all, but here in Oregon, that's, not too shabby. And my clients also tend to have smaller guest counts for their weddings. So anyways, that aside, my clients are amazing. They are laid back. They trust me. They're not super high maintenance. And that's not to say that every luxury client is, but I do think that that comes with the territory and that luxury weddings are just generally more demanding. But my clients, they still really care about the details and they care about the guest experience and they want to have a beautiful wedding day. And I personally, I'm happy with my clientele. I'm happy with the type of weddings that I'm doing. I'm content and happy with the money that I'm bringing in for my family. My business is not and really has never been a side hustle. It's my full-time job, pays for my mortgage, our bills, our groceries, all of that stuff. So with that said, I absolutely believe we should always be working to better ourselves, our processes, our systems, the experiences that we create for our couples, and on and on. So if the natural progression of your business leads you towards and into the luxury wedding market, then that is amazing and that is fantastic. But I just don't think that everyone needs to be spending their whole career striving for something just for the accolades or just to be able to say that you do luxury weddings. And although it may seem like it, I know for a fact that luxury does not equal success. And I know without a doubt that there are wedding pros who are serving luxury couples and doing luxury weddings, but they are undercharging, they're overworked, and they are barely scraping by. So just because somebody is sharing these photos of these gorgeous high-end weddings, that doesn't mean that they have this incredibly successful business. Unfortunately, I wish that it did. But it doesn't always add up that way. And in the same regard, I mean, there are people who, their weddings might not look as detailed or as beautiful, but they are bringing in bank and they have a team and they have set up systems and they're doing really, really well. So it's not always what you see from the outside that can tell you how well or how successful a business is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to be in the luxury market or wanting to reach that level of clientele. There is nothing wrong with that at all. And if you truly do desire to be in that market, then I would just say a few things. Number one is that you would need to start connecting with other wedding professionals who are already serving that luxury clientele. So you would need to be reaching out to them and making yourself known to them, building relationships and building connections with them. And secondly, you really want to only be posting and sharing photos of your work that is going to resonate with that luxury audience. So for example, if you're posting photos of rustic barn weddings, you are not going to be attracting the type of client that you want. Curation, as much as we don't want to admit it, it is important. And so I do think, if you are wanting to reach that level, then you do need to curate your blog posts and only share your best weddings and curate your Instagram feed and only show the best, most detailed weddings and not just every single wedding that you're doing. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, is that you need to make sure that you're offering a luxury level of service. When you get into that market, it is so much more than just the photos that you take on the day or the flowers that you put together. It's the entire experience from booking to offboarding, and it needs to be 100% on point if you want to serve these clients. So I would love to hear from you. If you are somebody who is a successful wedding business owner, but is not serving luxury clients, but is just crushing it, I would love to hear from you. And if you're someone who is wanting to get into the luxury market, but hasn't hit that point yet, I would love to hear from you. And if you're somebody in the luxury market, I would love to hear from you. I am just super curious what people think about this. And I could probably go on chatting about this whole topic, but I just wanted to make today's episode super short and sweet and just kind of leave you with something to think about as you are going through your weekend and just another perspective for you to consider, because I just think it's really easy to be scrolling on Instagram and to just see these gorgeous weddings and just think, oh, like why aren't I getting those type of clients, or what am I doing wrong? Why is that planner getting these bookings and I'm not? Like, it's so easy to get in our heads into just end up in a negative place when we are doing that. And I think we just tell ourselves that, once I get to this level, then everything will be good and I'll be successful and things will be great. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be once I get to this certain level of wedding or clientele. There are so many other ways to achieve success that it doesn't even matter. I mean, on some level, it does matter how much your clients are spending, because they need to have a budget for your services and they need to be able to afford what you need to charge. So of course it does matter, but there is no reason to think that you can't be successful until you book $100,000 wedding. Like, that is fake news. I do not buy it. I know so many people who run very successful businesses and, serve clients with a range of budgets and various types of weddings and guest counts and all of that. And they're still extremely successful. So again, let me know your thoughts on this. Shoot me a message on Instagram at Event Crush. You can also email me at becky@eventcrush.com. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, like I mean, trust me, I have a whole spreadsheet filled with all these different ideas that I have, but there's probably things I haven't thought of. So if you have any ideas for me, I would love to hear from you and just get your thoughts on episode ideas. And I have some great interviews coming up. But if you are someone who would love to be interviewed on my show, or if you know another person who would make a great person for me to interview, I would love to hear those ideas as well. All right. Well, that is it for today. So I am going to go play with my new puppy. I can hear him making a ruckus downstairs. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will catch you back here next week. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Event Crushed podcast. I hope you found value in this episode, and if you did, please consider sharing it with a wedding industry friend. We also hope you'll consider leaving a rating or review for the show to help other listeners find it. This podcast is edited and produced by Ace Sound Design. If you're looking to elevate your audio experience, their info can be found in the show description. As always, thank you for listening, and please connect with us on Instagram if you haven't already. Now get out there and crush it.